Hello, welcome pen friends. I've got a fun video for you today, I think. At least it's been a lot of fun for me working on this. What I'm going to be talking about today is if I had to choose one fountain pen from each brand, which one would it be? Now, this sounds pretty simple on the surface, but I surprised myself as I went through this, and I've been working on this for a couple of weeks. Okay, and the other part of it is not only which pen would I choose, but why? In other words, why would I choose that one versus another model in that line? You know, like if it's Twsbi, then, well, why not this other model of Twsbi? So what got all this started is that a couple of weeks ago, I read a blog post by Rachel Delafuente, and I think she titled hers, You Can Only Keep One, or something like that. And she mentioned that this is kind of a popular thing among the makeup brands and things like that. The people that review products, you know, they have to choose one from each product line. So it's a fun exercise. It's not necessarily, you know, ever going to happen. Although I have had similar thoughts whenever I packed my hurricane bag. And I've had other thoughts like when I went to fly to Vermont or something, like, ooh, which pen should I bring? So I found this extremely fun. But I kind of made it my own because I added 4 categories. So I did 9 pen brands, and I excluded a couple of brands because I just didn't feel like either I had enough. I didn't want to do any where it was just that I have one or that I have very little to go on. So, well, and in the case of platinum, so I excluded platinum, sailor, and wing sung specifically. And of course, anything where it's just mostly a one-off, then I didn't turn up. So 9 pen brands I covered. And then I decided to add a couple of categories to make it even more fun. I added vintage, you know, which one is my favorite vintage pen, which one was my favorite custom or special, and that's kind of a umbrella little category there we'll talk about. And then which school pen, and the school pen is what hung me up because I kind of revisited some of those and because I was wanting to be sure, you know. I get kind of literal and kind of absolute sometimes on things. So that really that's what made the video take a little bit longer for me to get to, was making my choice in that category. And I will say that 2 other things. One is, I'm assuming that in this hypothetical situation, I still get to keep all the nibs, you know, that would go on any of these. And that's big for me. Like, you know, surely space is not too bad of even if I'm going to go live on another planet, I can bring a box of nibs. So I'm going to bring all my nib units and nibs to this table too. I mean, not to the table, but you know what I mean, if I had to choose. And then there was something else, and it kind of like, it left my mind. Hold on. Okay, I remembered. The other thing is, at the end, I'm going to show you the pens that gave me the most, like, should it be this one or this one? There's like 5 of them where it was tough. It was that tough to decide, and I figure packing on my way to go to this other planet or to leave on a hurricane evacuation, I might still be changing my mind because, you know, it was that close in some cases. I saw that, I'm going to link to her original blog post because she's now gone back and linked, I think, 4 or 5 other people that have done this. And it's really interesting. In fact, there's one that I think is the Pen Addict, and I didn't see that one because I think you have to be a member, but that was interesting to me too. I'd love to see his. But I'd like to see more people do videos on this because it's a curiosity. I'd love to see, you know, what I've got 2 cats down at my feet. One is attached to one of my shoes. Toby has attached his nails into one of my shoes. So I'm going to make my way back over to the pen desk, and we'll start with an empty tray and we'll fill it up, you know, as I go through and talk. And I'm going to remember to say why, you know, with each pen, I hope. Because I don't want to be typing like 1,000 words in the description. I want to get it all into the video. Not only which pen I picked, but why. You know, what would make it my pick. So I'll see you over there. Okay, so the first brand that we're going to talk about is Lamy. And this is the pen that I choose. It would be the Lamy Safari in the dark lilac. It's my favorite one. But why not the Vista, for instance, or why not the Lamy 2000 or the Nex? Well, the reason why it's not the Vista is because I have stained my old one and I've worn off the Lamy letters. So if I only get to pick one, I want to pick up one that I know is going to hold up, and if any staining would be limited to the nib on this particular one, I'm sure. So that's why. The Lamy 2000 is just not my favorite pen model by Lamy, and I love all their nibs. They're easy to swap. So, and why not the All-Star, you might ask? Well, the All-Stars are beautiful, lightweight and nice and have the same grip and everything, but they're too easy to ding up with it's metal. And so if we're talking about walking away with just one, then it's going to be the Lamy Safari. I do love the matte finishes best, and it's just, purple is one of my favorite colors. So this is kind of a no-brainer, you know. So here's my first choice then for the Lamy brand. Okay, so next up is Twsbi. Not quite as easy to do because I love my Twsbis, but look at this. Wouldn't you think it might be the Twsbi Eco? But no, it turned out to be, after lots of deliberation, the Twsbi Diamond 580 and the Iris. There's a couple of reasons for that. You know, because really it came down to being between the Eco and the Diamond 580. And for me, as much as it surprises me, because I've got 20 Ecos and I love them, it really would need to be the Diamond 580 if it was the only one I could pick, because I could take the nib unit off really easily to switch, and I can get in there and clean it real easily. I have not had one of these crack, where I've had two of my Ecos crack, and it's just, you know, it's just a wonderful pen, that's all. It's beautiful, and I couldn't give this one up, so it'd have to be the one that I would bring with me. So, I have the Goes, and I have the Swipes, and I have a Classic, and I have a VAC 700R, so I've had a chance, an opportunity to try almost everything in the Twsbi line, but it would be this one. There really wasn't much doubt. It did kind of make me feel silly because of having so many Ecos and loving them, but I don't like to pull the nibs on those. I don't like to. I'll pull just the nib out, but I don't like to pull the nib and feed unit out, you know, the whole thing out. It's not a unit, they're separate, because I'm afraid of getting them back in wrong. I'm afraid of wrecking the fins, which I've done on a cheaper pen and it didn't make me very happy, that kind of thing. So it would be this one for sure. Okay, so next is the Benu. Now this was hard because there are two models in the Benu that I, you know, really cherish, but this would be it. It would be the Talisman and the Mandrake. This one is a lot like the Twsbi Diamond 580 in that the nib units come right out. Goodness gracious, the two boy cats were having a little tussle. Okay, so just like the Diamond 580, these Benu Talismans take a screw-in nib unit. It's a Schmidt unit, and so I could just have a ball, bring all of the different sizes that I have, and be all set with this one because it's such a beautiful color. But when we get to the end of the video, I'll show you the other pen that still kind of, you know, is just so pretty and so tempting in that line. But I have actually tried the Euphoria, the Briolette, and the Scepter, so it's not like this is the only one that I've tried, but it was my choice for Benu. So far, you know, and this is May 2024, and I'm 7 years back into the hobby, almost 8, so we'll see how that might change, but for now, that's where I'm at. Now the next brand is Kaweco, and definitely it would be my little Kaweco Mellow Blue, and it's the Kaweco Sport, and it's got a double broad, and it's just a sweet writer. Now, I haven't had most consistent experience with Kaweco nibs, and that's putting it really kindly. But this one is just a whole different story, and I actually have a couple now where the double broads are so nice, but this is my favorite. This would have to go. And I like it too because being a light blue, I can go ahead and just use any shade of blue and be happy about it. You know, a bright blue, a dark blue, blue black, it doesn't matter. So this would definitely be my choice for Kaweco. Now, I haven't tried a whole lot of different ones, just Sport, AL, Brass, and Perkio. That's a different, but that's enough, I think, to give me an idea of what I like. So that's the choice in that brand. Okay, then next up is Opus 88. So for Opus 88, it would be this one, the Opus 88 Omar, and it's got right now a broad nib unit in it, and it's the purple. And I just love this. And I do also really love that this is another one where it's a screw-in nib units, and you can just do that so easily with a little piece of anything. Well, it's the grippy stuff that I'm using now. I stopped using the lobster bands because they crumble up and dry out after a while. So this would be another one where I could have, my fine, medium, well, maybe not fine. I'm not sure I really worry about that so much. But I might need to if this was it, right? If this collection was going to be just what I have here. And, my stub unit and then the extra nib units, in other words. So that's a real theme. But yeah, I love this model. It's got a super, super comfortable grip, and I could write with it all day. It takes a tank, and this is another purple pen, so that really satisfies my purple color. My favorite purple color. Okay, so then next up is the brand is Jinhao, and the specific pen that I would choose is the X750 in the silver with a broad nib. This has a broad goulet nib on it. And, I chose the silver because I have a lot of these, and I really like them. And I like my pink, my purple, I got a red one, I got a marble blue one. But this would just allow me just any color. And again, I'd have my little box of nibs, so I'd have all the different nib options and could just pull them out and switch them if I wanted to. So this is the one I would choose, and that didn't really surprise me too much. Although I will say, it's not like a choice between nothing, because I definitely have tried the X450, the 82s, the 80s, the 159, the X159, and several other stragglers, ones that don't even come on my radar for favorite. And it's being able to put the broad nib in these that makes it, I think, my favorite. So the next brand is Moonman. And my favorite is my new one, my purple Swirl. If I had to choose just one, it would be this one. And I do have a broad nib in here. It's an Opus 88 broad nib that I pulled out of the screw-in nib unit and put it right in here. I don't ever get these feeds out. I just take a piece of tape and take just the nib out. But this is my favorite, and I couldn't do without it. So, it's my favorite of the Moonman. Even when you compare it to the P136, then of course there's that oddball, the Q1. And I've tried plenty of other Moonman, but even with the number 8 nibs, but I just like these better. So these have the little number 5 nibs, which I've got quite a few that are circulating mostly on pens. The ones that find their way back into the tray of nibs are usually the stock nibs there's nothing wrong with the Moonman stock nibs, but they're fine, and I prefer a broad. So there was no choice, no problem on that choice at all. Now the next category, the next brand is Pilot, and that was tough. That was super tough, and we'll talk about that more at the end. But after a lot of deliberation and realizing that maybe I might even change my mind again, it ends up being the Prera. And this is relatively new to me. I've had Kakunos, I've had my Vanishing Point for a long time, I've had my Metropolitans for a long time. And I have a 78G, which has a nice fine nib on it, and a custom 74, which I'm just getting my feet wet with, which has a gold nib, but it's still, it's this. And I think the reason why, one, of course there's both. There's the clear ones, but I chose the colored one because I thought about that, and I thought about staining, and I thought about that kind of thing, you know, how I'm kind of an ink crazy person, and so if I picked only one of the clear ones, I might stain it. But I love how these pull out real easily, and they actually have one of my favorite nibs. My favorite nib of Pilot is the CM, cursive medium, I guess it's, you know, stand for. And these feeds and nibs pull out super easily, no problem, and they click back in real good. So, but I could bring with me my fine, medium, you know, everything else that I have in this, which that's pretty much what I have, fine and medium and the CM. So I'd be all set, you know. It's a nice, small, comfortable pen with a cartridge converter in it. And that was my choice, although we will have more to say about that toward the end. Okay, so then the next brand is Pelikan. And I thought, gee, I ought to exclude Pelikan because I haven't really tried that many. I've tried the Pelikan Pelicanos and the junior and the regular one. And then that's pretty much it, I'm thinking. I can't think of anything else except for one of my most favorite pens, which made my top 5. So it's the Pelikan M800 with a fine nib, but it writes like, to me, it writes like a nice, generous medium. And it's just such a well-built, it's a piston filler, such a well-made pen. I wouldn't be able to leave it behind in a hurricane, for instance. So I figure, you know, for the exercise of choosing one from each brand, there's just no competition. It would be my choice, definitely. I love it. It's a smooth writer, and it's luxurious. You know, it's like heavy in the hand, but not too heavy. It's beautiful. It's the black and blue, I think, is the color name. So now we move to the part where I picked 4 extra categories just because I wanted to kind of make it fun, you know, for myself. So the first category extra is vintage. And I do have a few vintage pens. In fact, I forgot on my recent inventory and pen collection video, I have in the safe my old Schaefer Balance that was a family heirloom, so that didn't make it into the inventory. Ridiculous. But anyway, that has a filling system that needs repair. And also I have a little Waterman's 52 lever filler that needs repair. And I have a Reform that I'm still kind of getting used to. So, and I have an old Schaefer pen, another old Schaefer pen. But the winner, the one that just stands right out, is this Platinum Pocket Pen. It takes a little cartridge. It's from the 1970s. And it has not a hooded nib, but a little interesting little gold nib, and you do this and you've got a full-size pen, and it's just really fun. And I had it inked up for several weeks with a cartridge, and it just gave me no trouble whatsoever. So it's cartridge only, the Platinum cartridges, and it's just perfect. Oh, it's a sweet little pen. So vintage-wise, this is the one that's been successful, and I feel like, you know, being such a non-educated vintage person, this will be the one, you know, that I can use and probably trouble-free. It's real lightweight aluminum, and it's just a fun, pretty pen. So there we go on that. And then that kind of fills the, I was thinking, oh dear, I don't know that I really paid any attention to getting a fine nib, but we all know that because of the criteria, I could even bring along my extra fine Lamy nib, and I could definitely have some number 6 options with the fine nib for these pens. So I wouldn't go without a fine nib if that's what I suddenly needed, you know. So the next category is a custom special. I called it custom special, and I labored over this. It was tough, but this is the pen right here. It's the Heinz Custom Blue Storm with, right now I have the broad Opus 88 nib unit in it, but that also gives me all that flexibility with the other 2 pens that also take these because this came with a fine nib, and I still have that nib unit that I can, you know, swap in it. And it takes a cartridge, you know, converter or cartridge, but it's just a really, really beautiful pen. And I should have it inked up more. In fact, I think I talked about that on my inventory or my pen collection video, that I think what stops me sometimes is that it could roll off the desk, but I have a custom sleeve for it that I got from Rickshaw, and I have these little things like this where I can, you know, little pen rest. So it's going to go in rotation definitely for the next month, and I'm going to remind myself of every reason why I think it's great. But this was another category where I labored, and I have another pen that almost edged it out, just was so close. So next up is what I would call school or student pens. And this, you know, this was pretty easy, but I had to go back and revisit it because I kind of wondered, is it true? Is it really? But it's not really a contest. It's this Schneider Ray. And it's an odd looking pen, and you know, it's got odd shaping and everything, but it's got a medium, but what I would call broad nib on it that's just so smooth. And, you know, what gave me pause on this one would be, you know, it comes with the nib it comes with, and I don't believe you can change it. It could be. I mean, I don't know everything, but I don't think so. And so, you know, you'd be pretty much set with that nib and have to take real good care of it. But it has the converter, and it has been the one out of all the ones that I visited so far that I like the best. It's such a nice writer, so smooth, and it has such a bold line for a student pen. You know, so that's the why I hope I'm saying the why on, yeah, I think so. I think I'm giving you more than one why on everything. Or like, yeah, I think so, but I may have to watch and make sure that I did, because I promised that. So yeah, that's the one. But there's another one that I almost chose, so we'll talk about that at the end. Yeah, and I think, no, we're not quite at the end. We got one more, and this was Dip Pen. And this too had a contender, but it just won't, it just couldn't be anything but this. I'm still in love with this. It is the Serendipity hybrid. So it's a dip pen, but it has the feed and the nib, and it's a number 6 nib, and you can put any nib you want. Right now it's a medium goulet nib in there, and you dip it, and you can write like 3 pages of A5 with it. It's got, you know, just a little, it's however many times you dip it, and be patient, it'll draw in more ink into the little reservoir area in there. And this just pulls right out, and you can clean it real easily. It's super nice. But there is competition for this pen, so we'll talk about that. So here we are. Let's see. I'm still kind of horrified that I might have forgotten a why on one of these, but you know, definitely. Let's go through it real quick then, just in case. With the Lamy Safari, you know, easy nib changes, not being worried about staining the clear one. You know, it's a comfortable writer for me, and the other Lamys that I have tried weren't my favorite comfortable spot. And then the Twsbi Diamond 580, definitely easier for me to clean, easier to change out nib units, and hardier of a pen. You know, of course, it's more expensive too, but if you're only going to pick one, you know, to walk away with, and not, if I was to have to give up the other pens, then this would be the one. And then the Benu, I don't know, this is more of a standard size that fits in all of my pens, pen gizmos, you know, easily. It's gorgeous, and of course you could change the nibs real easily. So nice. This Kaweco is just my favorite in the Kaweco. It's my favorite nib and writer in the Kawecos. So rather than exclude the whole category, because I don't know that I'm the most expert with Kawecos, you know, I have 5. This is definitely my favorite. It's hands down, and I hope I take real good care of that nib because it's writing so good. The Opus 88, the Omar, it's just my favorite, even though it's so big, and usually I kind of tend toward a little bit more standard sizes, but I love it. I love being able to switch out the nib units when I want to, and the color is so pretty. I almost picked the clear one because then technically I'd be more maybe able to be more versatile, but I couldn't pick the clear one in that over this because it's just so pretty, and purple's my favorite color. And then the Jinhao X750, just for all those same reasons of being able to switch the nib easily. And number 6 nib, it's a good writer. They've been hardy pens for me. And then the Moonman, ooh, I love it. And I can just use tape to take the nib out and switch them. So I could go back to a fine if I really wanted to. The Prera, that was a little bit harder of a choice in the Pilot. I don't have experience with every single, you know, awesome whatever Pilot pen there is, but I have quite a bit of experience in the lower end of their line, and this is a really nice pen. The Pelikan, I need to say no more about the Pelikan M800. It's just a wonderful pen that I'm really blessed to have. And then the little vintage one, I think I've had so many problems with my other vintage pens, and this is trouble-free. And I feel like, wow, that's wonderful. You know, that there's one that I can enjoy that is an older pen that's such a nice, you know, so different from everything else. And then again, the Heinz Custom Blue Storm, it's the prettiest finish. I believe I can say that with all confidence. It has the prettiest finish of any of my pens, and that probably has to do with the price point and area where I purchase in pens. You know, it tends to be not up there in that custom price range, you know, other than a few, well, I bought 2 Benu pens so far. And then down over in the school category, again, this one doesn't have a swappable nib, but most of those don't. So, you know, and some could say that the Lamy Safari is in that school category too, but I don't quite place it there for myself. So this was definitely one I would want to take with me. And then the Serendipity. So let's move now over to, you know, the area where I had a little trouble, and we'll do like the comparisons and of you know, where I was really having trouble deciding. So I got another tray here. I guess I'll just push that one over here. And then I'll get the pen, like the original choice, and then we'll talk about the contender. So it was Benu, that was one that gave me a little bit of trouble. And then it was in the custom area. That was another one, because it was close. And then it was in Pilot. Pilot definitely, that's still kind of given me a little bit of a pause and wondering there. Then School Pen, that was another one. Oops, I'm running out of room. I'm going to have to get a little more conservative with where I put these. Let's see. Give us a little room. And then one more, and that was the Dip Pen. So I guess we'll put it on the end. And then, so with the Benu category brand, you know, picking just one from Benu brand, this was the one that really was such a close second. It's almost a tie. Now, if this pen were purple, purple, teal, magenta, whatever, if it weren't maybe green, it probably would have won, although this is an oversized pen, so that gives me a little bit of pause. But we're talking about the same nib unit and a nice, comfortable, you know, grip section. So we're talking about accessibility to the exact same nibs, so that wasn't a thing. But I'm just going to put it right here beside it. It's bigger, it's chunkier, but that doesn't really bother me. I mean, it fits in my Knox Sinclair and my Rickshaw Sinclair R, you know, and it fits where I want it to be. So anyway, that's, you know, this one won today. Let's put it that way. So then in the custom category, custom special category, this is the pen, because this pen is just amazing. It's beautiful, and it's pink, and it's got a wonderful number 6, let's see, German nib on it, and it's tuned by Kirk Spear, so at Pen Realm. So that's, you know, like, wow, that's something else, you know. And it writes so good, and it's one that I kind of gravitate toward. It's a nice size, and beautiful and everything, but it was really, really close between those two. And I have to say, probably because I've had this one less amount of time, I've inked it up more recently. But that's, you know, that's the way we are, isn't it? We get a new shiny object and we go kind of wild with it for a while. So that was a close tie. And, you know, this one won't roll off the desk. It has that ability, whoops, you can't see what I'm doing. It has that ability to stop itself with the, I don't use a clip, but I think clips are kind of handy for just keeping them from rolling off the desk. Okay, and I have all this kind of tray on my desk, so that doesn't bother me. So the next one was Pilot. And believe it or not, this is what hung me up. I kept thinking, well, if you only could pick one, you know, and I can get that favorite Pilot, in fact, there's one on here right now, the favorite Pilot nib, the CM, onto these. This is a Pilot Metropolitan. And I now know that I don't have to be stuck with that old-fashioned bladder thing. I can use a regular converter, or I can, well, of course, you can always use a, what am I trying to say, a cartridge. But I thought, well, but I don't really like the Pilot Metropolitan, so why do I keep thinking that maybe this would be a better choice? Well, I think what hangs me up is it's a metal pen body, and it is going to outlast some things probably. But it still wasn't my final choice. I really kind of felt like this would be more fun. And, you know, only picking one like that was tough. I mean, especially when you're red against purple. But I have a gray one like this, so, you know, maybe I would pick a gray instead, you know, because it's the same nib. So there you go. It's just a nib holder preference of the day, I guess. Okay, so over here on school pens, this was the one, the Pilot Kakuno. Because again, now with this one, this was an advantage. I have a CM on this one too, so that's a theme. But they also take medium and fine nibs, and they're really awesome pens. But it's you know, it's maybe it would have the same life as this other pen, but I can't get a regular broad nib onto this one. So here I was already over here covering that nib. In other words, I'm not going to walk away without that CM nib because I've chosen a pen I can put it on. But it was a close, you know, in that category. That's, you know, that's about it. That's all I can say about that. Now, over here on dip pens, my other, the one that I almost chose instead is the Sailor Hokoro. And, you know, it has the little, how you put, and this is really handy, by the way. You put the nib in there and it's protected. With this one, you put something over the nib. And I have a couple options. The Pilot Parallel lid will go on it. And I also have a little, like a, it's rolling around on my desk over here somewhere. The top of a pipette will go on here, but that's not very cute. You know, that's not cute at all. So, and it might fall off, although I cut it just so that it would be not super easy to like fall off. So anyway, and I don't like the way the Pilot Parallel lid looks on there. Otherwise I'd put it on there. So, but the Sailor Hokoro has taken care of that problem. It has the little reservoir. It comes in, you know, like I said, I'm going to take all nib units if I have a hurricane or a change of planet or whatever. But they've fixed you so that you don't have to worry about it getting hurt, getting the nib getting disturbed. But I will say this. I've had this crack. It's kind of, it looks like staining, but it's not. It's cracking, a little bit of cracking. But I think if I had the gray one instead of the white pen body, which would be an easy thing to remedy, then I wouldn't have that. But I don't like that for longevity or for rolling off the desk. So, well, I don't want this one to roll off either. But it doesn't stop me. I use these a lot. I do. And I think they do simulate what, they do a really good job, like with the stubs and everything, of simulating what it would look like in my actual pen. And this is the only one that's cracked. It's the one I've used the most. So, and then this one, you know, as far as cleaning, you could pull it out and just clean it real quick. And same with this pen. You know, it's really quick and easy. In fact, you know, you swish it, but I do more than swish because I don't want to end up with cross-contaminating or mixing inks when I'm doing it. But they're both really super easy to clean, but obviously this is gorgeous and this is more expensive. And now they're not making them. I'm hoping someone will start. Maybe they already have. I've been under a rock in a budget, but this was from James Phineas at Pensive Pens in Australia. And I believe they've stopped. He's retired and everything. But, you know, it would be really neat, wouldn't it, if someone would make these. Of course, they'd be expensive, and I'd be tempted, I guess. But I don't know why. I've got two. I've got the little mini one and this one, too. So there you have it, although you don't, because let me just fix the tray back to the final contestants there. There, got everybody back in their places, I think. Anyway, so so that's pretty neat. 12 plus 1 dip pen, 12 fountain pens and 1 dip pen. I don't know. I had a lot of fun with this. I ended up doing doing all of this in my bullet journal. Let's see if it can show. I guess it would. Oh no, this is too close up. Anyway, I worked in my bullet journal. I made places for each of the brands that I wanted to do. And I kind of worked at it, and I even had to paste in a change. And like the custom, like I said, I changed the custom one last minute because really after doing all my inventory, I was much more like, ooh, remembering all these pens that I have in there. So I hope you found this entertaining or fun, or maybe you'll try the exercise. At first glance, it seems like it would be so easy, and it isn't. You start thinking, you try to make yourself think, if this was really real, and I was going to, like, you know, leave my home with 1 pen from each brand, and I had to pick wisely, you know, which one would it be? And I enjoyed it greatly. So let's talk in the comments. And I do have to say I am a little behind on comments because I'm getting a little more viewership right now, and so more comments. But I love to answer comments, and I'll get to them. Sometimes I get backed up quite a ways, but I do love to answer them. Answer not only questions, but just, you know, continue the conversation. So don't give up on me. Or if you feel like you really want an answer to something and it hasn't happened fast enough, just shoot me an email at chris@inkswatch.com, because I don't really want people to have to wait a long time for an answer, if there's any way I can, you know, answer it. Okay, that's it for this video, and I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.